Hello and welcome. The Chadian military says it has killed 207 Boko Haram militants near Garambu, a Nigerian town close to the border shared with Cameroon. The army also says it has seized large quantities of small arms and ammunition and 2 pickup trucks. A statement from the Chadian military also reveals that 1 Chadian soldier was killed while 9 others were wounded in the clash with the militant Islamist sect. Nigeria, Niger, Chad and Cameroon are currently carrying out a joint operation to end the Boko Haram insurgency, which has killed an estimated 13,000 people and displaced over 1 million. A Nigerian woman has won a Japanese Peace Prize for her campaign against the dreaded Islamist sect Boko Haram. Esther Ibanga was awarded the Peace Prize worth $170,000 by the Niwano Peace Foundation. Now, the Niwano Peace Foundation applauded Ibanga, who is also a pastor, for having a campaign that addresses issues of conflict among religious groups. Awarding Ibanga the prize, the foundation said, quote, Esther has worked extensively to foster and facilitate reconciliation between conflicting religious and tribal groups, setting up an organization that has all tribal women leaders on its membership, end of quote. The Islamist sect is estimated to have killed more than 13,000 and rendered over 1 million people homeless since it began its violent campaign of terror in 2009. Now women and children have borne the brunt of Boko Haram attacks. To health issues now, the National Agency for the Control of AIDS, NACA, says the HIV prevalence rate in Nigeria has reduced from 5.1% to 3.4%. Director General of the agency, Professor John Idoko, disclosed this at a free medical treatment organized by NACA and the Subsidy Reinvestment Program SHORPI in Udim and Ika local government areas of Akwa Ibom State. The NACA DG, who was represented at the event by the agency's Chief Program Officer, Ali Ade Yusuf, said the decrease in the rate of the HIV/AIDS prevalence rate is because of the extensive awareness of the virus by Nigerians. He added that the signing into law of the HIV/AIDS anti-discrimination bill by President Goodluck Jonathan in 2014 has given hope to many living with the virus. Fear of stigmatization has been one of the main threats to the reduction in the prevalence rate of HIV/AIDS. To politics now, the governorship candidate of the Labour Party in Delta State, Great Ogboro, has called for the reversal of the INEC elections timetable, citing economic and security reasons. He wants INEC to conduct the governorship election and president first, and of course, the presidential election later. Now, Great Ogboro, while answering questions from journalists in Lagos, said the current economic crunch and the recent fall in oil prices might be an advantage for him and his team when voted into office to show Delta people how government should be run.
Perhaps it is for this very reason that God kept us for a time like this, because you have managers who can manage in different circumstances. Where there is surplusage of monies, anybody can be a manager. Anybody can do anything. But when resources are getting scarce and they are dwindling, you need special skills to be able to turn things around. And I believe that the programs which we have in the Labour Party will be able to survive and yield dividends in terms of turning around the economic fortunes of Delta State, irrespective of dwindling oil prices. In any case, the talent that we shall bring on board and the vision we shall bring to bear on Delta State and the value orientation will make it such that our people will be able to live even with less means. The people have bought into our vision, and we have been able to keep the peace. But for the vision and the value we have introduced and inducted them with, I am sure Delta State will have been a very violent environment, because the people of this state have been shortchanged for so long. Their will and their votes have been cast aside, and the government that was never elected or voted for had been in place. But thank goodness, because we are making progress, we believe that after darkness comes dawn. And that dawn will surely come in the next elections, be it 28th of March or 11th of April, as the makers of our electioneering will decide in future. As for me, I will actually want to advocate that the governorship elections should come first for many reasons, and I will discuss that going forward. Because I think that the state of the nation today is such that it makes more sense that we conduct those elections bottom up instead of top down. Nevertheless, we can only advocate, we cannot decide. But if those who are in authority have ears, let them hear us, because not only does it make economic sense, it also gives a sense of security to this nation.
We'll take a short break, and when we come back, business stories and more. Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on TV360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions. Welcome back. Nigeria's federal government says the country has lost $159.88 million from oil revenue in 2 months to vandalism and oil theft. Minister of State for Finance Bashir Yuguda, while briefing journalists after the Federal Accounts Allocations Committee FAC meeting Tuesday in Abuja, explained that the loss is further compounded by the drop in crude oil prices, estimated at $77.53 million in November and $52.34 million in December.
I'm speaking to Nigerians now. Nigeria is not broke. I don't know where that issue of the country being broke is. I have never skipped Federation account meeting. I have never skipped a month that I have not paid salaries. I have never skipped our payment terms on the bond that we raise in Nigeria. So I don't know the issue of the country being broke.
The federal government says it will soon begin the implementation of a strategic investment master plan to bridge the country's huge infrastructural funding gap, estimated at about $2.4 trillion within the next 30 years. The Executive Secretary, Chief Executive Officer of Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, Saratu Umar, Tuesday in Lagos disclosed this during a media roundtable organized by the agency as part of its ongoing stakeholder sensitization program. She said, quote, foreign direct investment has been widely acknowledged worldwide as the most useful and cheapest source of development finance because it creates employment, ensures transfer of technology, conserves foreign reserves, ensures availability of quality goods and services, among others. Saratu also said in terms of FDI, Nigeria receives an average of $7.5 billion yearly, and that if this is constant over the next 30 years, the country would have only brought in $223 billion in foreign direct investment. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, and Consumer Protection Council, CPC, have signed a memorandum of understanding to bring mortgage, online forex, and other scammers of consumers to book. The MOU, which was signed by the Director General of CPC, Modukwe Atoki, and the Executive Chairman of EFCC, Ibrahim Lamorode, at the EFCC's headquarters in Abuja, was initiated to tighten the loose ends, in the protection of consumers with the might of the enabling acts of the two agencies. In a statement released, the Director General CPC, Modukwe Atoki, said the need for joint investigation and enforcement cooperation between the two agencies became inevitable due to the sharp trade practices of unscrupulous providers of goods and services, which often lead to financial losses to consumers in the country. She said with the synergy created by the CPC-EFCC MOU, the EFCC will focus on criminal prosecution of offenders, while both agencies will work together to ensure that consumer victims receive appropriate redresses, restitution and compensation in a competent court of law. To some foreign stories now, at least 90 Assyrian Christians in Syria have been kidnapped by the Islamic State. Reports say the kidnapping was carried out after the group seized two villages, Tal Shamiram and Tal Hamus, in the Hasake province from the control of the Kurdish People's Protection Unit's YPG. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says the abduction appears to be a retaliation for a Kurdish offensive which has killed 132 jihadists in its bid to recapture nearby villages. The jihadists also attacked another nearby town of Tal Tamir, which remains under the control of Kurdish fighters, setting a church on fire. Now, most of the Assyrians who live in Syria live within the Hasake province. Possession of small amounts of marijuana for personal use has become decriminalized in Jamaica, authorities have said. The authorities also confirmed that the plant will also be used for religious purposes by Jamaica's Rastafarians. Marijuana is regarded as sacred by members of the Rastafarian faith and has been celebrated in the islands of reggae music. The country's parliament passed a much-debated law allowing the possession of up to 2 ounces, that's 57 grams actually, of marijuana. It will also allow for a licensing authority to oversee the medical and scientific uses of the plant. Marijuana is widely known in Jamaica and, of course, as ganja and has cultural roots there, but the decriminalization drive ran into fears of possible sanction from the U.S. The island nation is thought to be the biggest Caribbean exporter of marijuana, as I said, also known as ganja and cannabis, to the U.S. Its decision to relax domestic restrictions against marijuana forms part of a broader global trend. Several Latin American countries and U.S. states, most recently Alaska, have decriminalized the drug in recent years. Wonder what will happen if that drug is decriminalized in Nigeria. I believe we'll soon come up with that debate. Now to sporting matters, the Nigerian Football Federation NFF says it has prepared a new contract for Super Eagles coach Stephen Keshi. NFF chairman Amaju Pinnick disclosed this in the wake of media reports that has continued to strongly link Keshi with the vacant position of the head coach of Burkina Faso. Pinnick said Keshi will begin work as soon as he accepts the new offer. On the report linking Keshi to the Burkina Faso job, he said the decision lies with the 2013 African Cup of Nations winning coach. Keshi is currently out of contract after the expiration of his initial 3-year deal. World Football Governing Body FIFA says it will not pay compensation to clubs and leagues unhappy about plans to play the 2022 Qatar World Cup in November and December. FIFA also said no apology was necessary for the scheduling of the tournament, which will disrupt a number of leagues. On Tuesday, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, the chairman of the European Clubs Association, said his organization's members wanted financial compensation following the proposed change. This was to cover the cost that Europe's clubs and leagues will spend on rescheduling their championships, many of which run between August and May. But FIFA Secretary General Jerome Valcke dashed those hopes when speaking in Qatar on Wednesday, confirming that the country will host the 2022 finals. With concerns for both players and fans given the Qatari heat in June-July, a FIFA task force announced on Tuesday that the tournament should be played at the end of the year to avoid Qatar's hot summer temperatures. Well, I believe the argument will not end there. We'll just wait and see what comes up next with this 2022 World Cup in Qatar. That's it for now. On News Now, we're back again shortly.